Mojo Vision, contact lenses on hold, and they have a new Focus which is on MicroLED.
Google users not given sufficient choice over its data processing, says German antitrust watchdog.
Everyone who uses Spotify knows about Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year.
But Apple has this really small little fun fact about iPhone.
Hi and welcome to episode 45 of the Tech Review, where we bring you all the latest and greatest, or sometimes not so great news about the tech world. Join us as we dive into the deepest depth of innovation, social media and the ever-evolving world of technology. So sit back, relax and listen to our favorite articles of the week. Let's geek out and have some fun. On camera 4, we have 4 today. We have Chris. On camera 3, this is Vincent. On camera 2, this is Henrike. On camera 1, hi, this is me, a little bit confused, but still here. TechReview is a collaboration of Ideas Engineering, Free Tech Academy, and Update.com. So you can find all of our episodes on YouTube to watch or listen to us on all major podcast platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, while you work out, or even fly through space, if this is something that you're doing. So, what happened this week? I have too many buttons here.
Chris, what happened this week? You tell us.
So, let's see. Who is...
Is he the first though?
First.
Yeah.
Wait. It's actually Chris.
How did you know, Vincent?
Not bad.
No, not me. No, not me. Tarek showed Chris suddenly.
Yeah, I pressed the wrong button as always.
After the
I
intro.
just have too many buttons.
So, but that
I
was the
didn't do
proof.
anything.
It's a little bit fake in here, so no random choice, no random selection of speakers. Okay, so what article do we have? AR-Kontaktlinsen.
Right.
Mojo Vision, contact lenses on hold, actually. And they have a new Focus, which is on MicroLED. So Mojo Vision, actually, we had like various times in the tech review already. So I guess remember that is the AR lens, which always looks a bit creepy. So it's so big. Whenever I see that, I think the innovation is really great, but the idea of having such a big lens on my eye, so that always gave me the creep. Just the idea and the feeling of having something like that under my eyelid. Well,
It looks a little bit like
Almost think
an
about that.
android from a science fiction movie. You see the android by looking into his eyes and see these robot eyes.
yeah, it's not just actually looking at it. It's just the idea of having the feeling of something. It's a contact lens, but it's thin. But for a contact lens, it's thick, right?
Right.
Having that underneath your eyelid, so that is a strange imagination. However, so they have developed on that like a decade or so, and that was mainly for the medical sector. So which is a use case I totally see and still would see actually. But they also had the perspective of everyday use, which I was always a little bit in doubt with, to be honest, at that early stage. So they wanted to be market ready, I think around 2025 or so. So that will not happen now because they have not found any further investors. And therefore now they have changed their strategy. And this is what the article is about. Because instead of the lens itself, Mojo actually just wants to focus now on commercializing the micro-LED technology, which is in the lens. And you might remember they have developed a display, a micro display, especially for that lens. And that is really, really small, like a grain of sand actually, but still has like, I think 14,000 pixels in it. So that was quite a deal actually regarding innovations and the piece of technology. And this is what they say now. They say that the whole thing with the micro LEDs will have a big future in the near future, actually in short term. And that is a little bit different to what they see with the lenses. So this is why they have slowed down the work on the lenses and want to go up now with the micro LEDs. If you read the article, you see that this is only half the truth. As say, they have lost their investors due to various reasons they name here. For instance, they say it's, of course, the difficult economical environment, understandable, tense capital markets at the moment. And this is also something I see. They say there's unproven market potential for advanced AR products. So all of that is true, and you can follow that. But of course, the whole thing has some structural consequences for Mojo. So they have to lay off 75% of their employees. That's, well, a statement. So let's see what we can expect from Mojo in the future. And if the AR lens as such will have a future anyway. So I would love that, because I love the innovation, as said. But at the moment, well, it does not look so good from my point of view.
Yeah, if I understand this correctly, this means that the work on the contact lens itself is stopped, right? So they still work on these micro LEDs, but we can't expect the contact lens to hit market somewhere soon, right? Did I understand this correctly?
This is what I understand, so too.
Okay.
They said they slowed down the development and everything, but in the end they stopped it. Yeah, and it, from my point of view, if you read that, it's not sure if it ever will be coming back.
That's super sad, because I think, as you said, we are talking about these contact lenses for quite some time, and it was so amazing high-tech science fiction to have these contact lenses. And to be honest, I always thought about, I do not believe that this is actually true and this is going to happen. And seeing these prototypes, it's amazing. But yeah, I was always thinking about, okay, I will not believe in it until I actually see this in someone's eye. And so now we still have to wait.
Yeah, it's like with many of the technologies and innovations we talk about here in TechReview, right? So they have like a very cool status, and they are in a like science fiction-like state, just as you describe it. And everybody of us is clear that there will be a future for all of these technologies. But at the moment, it just seems to be a little bit too early, actually. Like it's the same with the metaverse, for instance.
Yeah.
So it will be coming. That's no doubt in that. But then we have like the announcement of Meta and the development now, and we see, probably a bit too early.
Yeah. But don't scare me with like a delay of future VR headsets or something like that. I don't want to. Don't want to hear that.
We're on the way. It just takes time, right? It's always like difficult to have like a big expectation, and then when you hit the market, then you do not really meet these expectations. And if the gap is too big, then we have disappointment.
Yeah, sad, but let's put this onto our list. Goodbye, Mojo, for now, and let's see when we will talk about this again.
And now, this.
But we have more news today. What about Google? We have something new from Google, and it's about... There we are. Google users not given sufficient choice over its data processing, says German antitrust watchdog. And yeah, the Federal Cartel Office in Germany has issued a preliminary statement of objections over Google's data processing terms. Yeah, we know that this is like an ongoing issue for quite a long time between companies like Facebook and Google and the German government regarding collection of data. The regulators are stating that it is planning to require the tech giant to provide users with more choice over what it does with their information. The FCO, the Federal Commission, has been investigating Google's term and conditions for processing user data since May 2021. And the regulator is specifically concerned about how Google collects and connects user data across multiple platforms. And they are saying that the users don't have sufficient choice over their profiling and ad targeting. Yeah? And this lack of choice for consumers can negatively affect competition, which is why this has landed on the radar of the antitrust regulator. And the FCO has concluded that based on the current terms, users are not given sufficient choice as to whether they agree to these far-reaching processing of their data across services. And so Google will now have the opportunity to comment on the FCO's objections, but The final decision about this is expected later next year. And for everyone who is not from Europe and might be a little bit confused about what we are talking about here, the GDPR, or the General Data Protection Regulation, is a set of rules that aim to protect the privacy of people in the European Union by giving them more control over their personal information. And this means that one of these reasons why GDPR is valuable is that it gives people the right to know what information companies have about you, and the right to ask for that information to be corrected or deleted, and the right to tell companies not to use this information for certain purposes. And this means that people have more control over their personal information and can make sure that it's not used without their consent. But on the other hand, this also helps to increase the transparency and trust that people have in companies that handle their data. But on the other hand, GDPR can be very problematic because it's a very strict set of rules and can be very difficult make it difficult for companies to comply with this. And so another big issue for this is that the interpretation and enforcement of GDPR between various countries of the European Union is very different. And so it is very hard for companies to operate in the EU, where every country is using this GDPR differently than the other one. And so companies like Facebook and Google have a very hard time complying with all of this. And I personally am always waiting for the day where a company like Facebook or Google just says, yeah, okay, we just leave Germany and we just close our doors to Germany because it makes more work keeping our business here alive than to comply with all these regulations. And on the one hand, of course, it's for me as a customer to be protected by these GDPR laws. But at the same time, reading all of these news about the FCA and all the regulations and the companies that are fighting legally against this, it's like a never-ending story. Another one from Germany.
Another one, yeah, and also a little bit tiring, to be honest.
Yeah.
So to hear that again and again, and also the question for me is, what would be the consequence? So, will they kick out Google then, or what?
I guess penalties, like they have to pay a lot of money, right? It's like millions of dollars of penalties that they get. And that's why I'm thinking at a certain point of time, they will just say it's too expensive and it's too much effort keeping our business alive in Germany. Because the German market is not that big. It's just like a handful of people compared to the rest of the world. And so it's very, very expensive market to be a company, data-based company.
Expensive. And the question is if it is that attractive in the long run, right? I mean, so that is that the next digital gap we are running into, right? So we have like digital holes and lacks anywhere. Slept over digitization for the last 20 years and still working on building down the current digitization here with measures like these. So I don't know.
Yeah. We see these giant Chinese companies, for example, and we are always wondering, why are they not coming to Europe? Where we say, okay, they are bigger than Amazon, bigger than Google. Yeah, but I totally see why they do not come to Europe, because it's so bothersome. And the Chinese market itself is so much bigger than the whole of Europe. But yeah.
But then again, I mean, I agree with you. But then again, the Chinese market, just like Google, has a lot of other markets that are just useless compared to Germany. I mean, Germany is such a rich country. So much, I know we talk a lot about how we are not, but let's compare ourselves to the rest of the world. We are extremely digitalized. It has become the standard to make money via digital businesses, and in a lot of fields, obviously looking at the industry. And so I would argue that this step, I do agree that you could wait for it, but I think you will have to wait a long time. I see it on the other hand. I see when I look, I don't know, Chinese companies that are not coming to Europe. I agree with you. But I think the problem with them, it's the same way Taco Bell is not in Germany. It's because their business relies on doing business a way that we don't do it in Europe. Generally, I think a lot of those companies just would not have a business case in Germany. And in the next episode, I will bring an article that actually deals with that quite a lot. So stay tuned for that.
For next week.
Next week, exactly. One other more or less stupid question I had is, Tarek, in the intro you said this is also hurting competitors. How? I can see why the Kartellamt or the DSGVO, right, GDPR, what is it called, that they are that this is hurting the user, hurting relative term, legally hurting. If it's actually hurting, a different discussion. But I don't see how this is affecting the market.
Yeah, right. No, I think it's like this, what the Bundeskartellamt, the FCO, is actually doing, keeping the competition alive. And because Google has this monopoly on all this data that we are pumping into this through all the Google services like Google Search and YouTube and advertising and everything, they have the monopoly on all of the data. And by connecting all of their services and sharing this set of data everywhere, they have this giant advantage against anybody else. And I think the Bundeskartellamt is exactly fighting this supremacy on the data market and does not allow Google to automatically, without consent, use this power against any other competitor. This is how I understand this.
Google is maybe a good example for that. I mean, looking at Google's business model of connecting all businesses, right? I mean, this case would be much smaller at, say, Microsoft. Yes, they also have a big one Microsoft account, but this doesn't hurt LinkedIn when Microsoft 365 fucks something up.
Right.
But I can see the point.
Yeah, and especially in Germany, I think there's barely a market worldwide where Google, at least for the search engine, is that dominant. In Germany, there is only one search engine. Nobody uses anything else. In other countries, I think they have like other search engines, like Bing. But I don't think anybody is using this in Germany. If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news. All right.
And now, this.
Let's continue with Henrike and Spotify.
Okay, that one. Yeah, that's, I guess, rather just a info, but I still found it worth mentioning here. Everyone who uses Spotify knows about Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. It's already something people look forward to, either publicly or secretly, to, you know, like have a look into what have I listened to over the year and does that really represent my taste in music, and people like to share their taste in music, also either ironically or seriously. So yeah, now Spotify at the beginning of this year announced another feature, which is playlist in a bottle. So only in January you can create a playlist, which will then be sealed and opened again in January next year. And of course, you can share that you take part in Playlist in a Bottle with your community. And then in a year from now, you can share your playlist with them again. I personally do not know if people already do so, because I'm not on social media right now, as you know. And also due to the fact I can't share mine as well, because I just did it before we had this episode here, putting my playlist together. I mean, I see what Spotify is doing there. They try to, you know, obviously keep people in their app, making sure like, okay, now I cannot leave Spotify because I want to, you know, have my playlist in a bottle in a year from now. I mean, maybe, because for me, I did it, and you have to answer some questions like a song that reminds you of your favorite person, or a song you need to hear live in 2023, a song that sounds like it's from the year 3023. I can't even say that. And all of this stuff, whether you just answer 3 questions or more. And I mean, honestly, I went through the questions and all the songs I picked, and I think this is in the end really all of it. It's not that Spotify adds music that is related to what I picked. All of the songs are songs that I'm listening to for years. It's nothing that it's like, oh, this is like a very brand new song from 2022 or now January 2023. So I already know that in a year from now, I won't be surprised by what I put in there, because these are like evergreens to me, and songs that I immediately think about. So I don't think this is a feature that will have such an impact and create such a buzz on social media as well, like Spotify Wrapped. Because I mean, maybe it's different for other people, but Spotify Wrapped at least still has this surprise to it. What was really the song I listened to the most? Is my genre really represented? Or if people share their accounts with family members, or you have children and all of a sudden start to listen to children's songs, like your algorithm completely got destroyed. And so Spotify Wrapped really can be interesting in the end. But this playlist in a bottle, yeah, if it's really like just the songs I picked now, those I think 6 questions I answered, then I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I picked that one. I love that song for ages, you know?
Yeah, Vincent, you look like you want to say something.
Yes. I'm just so when I saw this, first thing is I was confused. I was confused that they're launching it for January 2024 because this is just a few days after we get our wrap. So why didn't they launch it for the summer, first of all?
Yeah.
Second, Enrique, I feel the same. I clicked it away, unfortunately, and then I forgot about it. But when now bringing it back to my mind, I would also put songs in that I always listen to. That's just the type of person I am. But then I think when we see the reactions on social media, I would probably think that a lot of people will put songs in they will be surprised by. And therefore, because you put in a lot of the summer hits with TikTok, you have more frequency, a higher frequency in songs you listen to and then not anymore. Right, it's interesting because when you know in the end of the year, I don't know if Henrike, if you know it since you're not on social media, but everybody else knows that we have those reviews of this has been my year, and then they put songs underneath and create a reel, and in pictures or whatever. And a lot of people picked songs that are trending on TikTok right now, and I thought, well, that's so interesting. In a year from now, they're going to listen to that. They're going to be like, oh yeah, that was a trend like a year ago, right?
But this is exactly, if they would have also asked me like, what's a current song, like specifically, because the questions they asked was like, oh yeah, this is a song that reminds me of blah blah blah, then of course I have one that is so close to, you know, my heart, to my taste in music, that it's not, I don't know, Wildberry Lillet, which is also already an old one by now, but you know what I mean? It's not really representing January now to me. It's
you know what? All of you are just too old for that. And that
might be very true.
Yeah, that is true, because that was my first impulse actually to comment on that. And actually it was meant as a joke, but if you think about it, it's absolutely true. Because as you say, Enrique, so in your age, whatever that might be, not too old,
not revealing it.
Apparently very young still, but nonetheless, you are a little bit older than Gen Z probably. And that means you have like a history you can look onto, and for various occasions, you have like also various songs you are connected with and everything. So you have like more or less favorite playlist for favorite moments, let's put it like that. But if you're really young, like 14 to 18 or something like that, Gen Z area, so then many things happen to you for the first time, right? So then it really can be that a song is connected with a special situation in a specific year, and that happened the first time, and that you will remember next time with it. So the spectrum you can look upon is not that big with younger people than with older people like us. So, and especially if you say, Vincent, that many of those songs were TikTok songs, that also would put an emphasis exactly on that, would be another indicator for that. So I think we are probably not the target group for this feature. So this is probably more for the younger people.
But if they are good,
I think this is...
Yeah, so sorry, I just want to say, if they are good, they will bring back the old bottles from 10 years ago, right? And then they would say something like, yeah, look at this bottle that you closed 10 years ago, and this might be interesting.
Absolutely. So that was also my first idea when you actually mentioned that it's just 1 year ahead. But then Henrike already gave the answer. So if you want to actually keep your customers for another year, then that's okay to have a playlist in the bottle for 2024. If you want to make it like 2034, then it might be a little bit difficult to sell.
Yeah.
Although it would
But
make
that would be
more
really
sense.
interesting, because I think also then over the years there probably is a change still in my taste or the songs I pick. But a year from now, I don't think I will be surprised.
Yeah, but marketing-wise, this is a little bit difficult to sell, probably.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And now, this.
Let's continue. Oh, I did not reload. Okay, because there should be something from Vincent, right?
Yes, it's actually, I mean, we're close to overtime here. So I brought something very smooth, very relaxed, just as it looks like I anticipated how this goes. I just wanted to bring, because it was so funny, because usually I mean, you don't think of this, but Apple has this really small little fun fact about iPhone, and I just thought I'm gonna bring it here. So 2 days ago, the iPhone had its birthday, 16 years of iPhone, and it's interesting because Apple doesn't celebrate specific times. They celebrated, I think they celebrated iPhone last year with 15 years of iPhone. I know that they kind of did something around a Macintosh, I think. They celebrated iPod, but whatever, all of that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that when you look at iPhone, when you have a look on one of Apple's keynotes about iPhone or any other device, the time and the date is always set to a specific date in time. And it's always the time iPhone got released. And I just thought of this 2 days ago because it's always January 9th at 9 something. I think it's 9:47 or something.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's a little anecdote I heard like years ago. I forgot about it, and then 2 days ago, it struck me when I saw the date, and I didn't think of iPhone at all. I saw the date, and I was like, right. And yeah, I just wanted to bring that as a little anecdote, and that's it.
Oh, you're really a super fan then if you look on the calendar and you remember that this date has such a special meaning.
Right, let's celebrate the iPhone's birthday with a cake and everything.
Okay, now we're talking.
Very nice. Okay, yeah, but this was like a very, very nice finishing note. Then thank you very much for everything that you brought into Tech Review 45 we are today. And see you and hear you next week. Bye.
Bye.